gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Scrotum Erica. You know who the fuck it is, and if you don't, that hurts my feelings.
Really should at this point hurt your feelings.
With me in the booth is Mio Dread, Don't Call Me War Crimes, Milosevic, and as well as the King of Squirrel Paste, Travis Wallace.
I'm here occasionally.
He's here all week. Try the whiskey.
We are here for rounds. We are here for round 6 of the DTM Teams Championship from Road America, a track that has never seen a DTM race because, well, DTM doesn't come to the United States. That's the reason.
Seems racist.
Well, DTM's European only, sir. Although they have been to Japan now, of course, with that super race at Fuji.
They should definitely go to Ascension Island.
I was going to respond there, but I actually had a yawn.
My references are so sick they put people in comas.
They do. Michael Magas heading down to near the end of the lap. This is the final straight, and will he improve his lap time? The answer is...
Yay!
Apparently yes. Moved up to 18th place. So we have once again had the Audis versus the BMWs versus the Mercedes storyline here, although I don't think Max Simmons, who's up in 3rd place there for Audi, is actually counting as an Audi. I believe he is a wild card entry, so he will not be scoring, I think. Andrew D, surprising pole sitter. I don't think we've ever seen Andrew D on the pole. Can anyone recall that being a thing that I'm just not recalling?
No, I don't recall your recollection either.
Josiah Jerome, Max Simmons, Visar Jacoli, Lucas Crambier, Larry Foster, very good qualifying for him, Gerardo Davel, Martin Edmonds, Christopher Streppet, and Daniel Hernandez, Academy boy, in the top 10.
I'm still waiting to hear details back from Mr. Lawrence Foster about his ribs experience. Apparently it was good, and I would like to take all the credit for that.
I mean, you would take all the credit for that.
I mean, he asked for my recipe. I gave it to him.
This will be a very big DRS track, to be honest, with a lot of straightaways, a lot of options to do some things, and not a lot of super hard braking zones. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out as the race goes on.
So what are the rules with the DRS? Are they
no groin shots?
You get no time a lap.
You get 3 DRS per lap, but in order to activate the DRS for the lap, you have to finish the prior lap within 1 second to the car ahead of you.
Okay. 3 seems like a lot. That's surprising.
But what if there's hit to pass rules engaged?
We don't do hit to pass rules. Not with these cars, anyways.
Are there elbows on the ground allowed?
Yes, for sure.
What about giving the old Turkish special?
That's totally allowed.
Oh goodness!
Here we go. Visar Jacoli has swapped liveries for this race, going to the BMW bank car. Previously, he had been in the Red Bull car, if I recall correctly.
And if anybody out there doesn't know what the Turkish special is, just look up Turkish oil wrestling and holler back at your boy.
You might not want to do that, to be honest.
You might not want to, but you will, because now you're intrigued. I know.
Josiah Jerome did get the best of Andrew D at the start, so the Audi has hit the front of the pack. D in 2nd, Jacoli, Simmons, Crambier, Delvell, Edmonds, Foster, Kenny up to 9th place. Good start by him. And Christoph Verstappen, your top 10.
Look at me, I can count. My name's Mike.
I mean, that is my gimmick.
Kinda.
Should we mention... I was going to say, it looked like Douglas DeGroat might have dropped off the back of the pack, but that is not the case. This is not a relative gap, but rather a first to last place gap. So there you go. Max Simmons up on the tail of Visar Jacoli. Should be mentioned, Max Simmons tethering his internet to his cell phone for this race in attempts to get better performance out of his internet.
That's a bold experiment, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him.
We'll see how that goes. His internet has notoriously been terrible.
True.
I mean, if your alternative is a cell phone connection, then it must be terrible.
It's pretty bad.
Indeed. Incredible bad.
Lucas Crambier leading the Mercedes charge. Mercedes has had 2 really bad rounds lately, and really need to step up here to keep themselves in the hunt. They are behind Audi and BMW in the overall standings. BMW started the season really poorly, but has been coming on strong as of late. Sergeant Coley and Andrew D leading the charge right now, battling for second place.
Tell you what, man, since old Josiah has gotten him a functioning computer, he is killing it.
He is. We've been saying it the entire time that it was going to happen. As the DRS is engaged for Sergeant Coley, and he will take second place into turn 1 from Andrew D. And on the attack also is Max Simmons. 3 wide, oh boy. Simmons actually is now under attack from Cranbeer. A lot of these guys will have DRS right now, so that's going to be playing, a big role here. There are, I would say, probably 5 good zones for DRS on this track, so you do have to be a little bit selective.
What if you get sent to the negative zone?
It doesn't go well for you. By the way, Lucas Cranbeer just overtook 2 cars in a matter of 2 turns. Very nice. Getting past Max Simmons and Andrew D into 3rd place. Meanwhile, at the front, Josiah Jerome is checking out.
He's chicken what?
Checking out. Heading towards the front. Looking to see if anyone else is making a good charge through the field. Douglas DeGroat's got a couple of spots, actually, but he just lost a spot to Pierre Stefani there for 22nd place. Had been in last, though, so he is on a little bit of a charge. Looking back, Demetrius Simeonitis back in 21st place. That's been weird. He's been very quick lately. And Leonard Burke bringing up the rear. He'd qualified quite high. So, disappointing run so far for the Canadian Audi driver. Larry Foster still doing very well. He's dropped from his grid position of 6th, but still in 7th there in the Timo Glock BMW with the Deutsche Bank livery. Max Simmons on the DRS trying to get past Andrew D. Andrew D was victimized last lap under DRS. And it looks like, unfortunately, it's going to happen again to him here into turn 1. Max Simmons takes 4th place. So, Travis, why did you not join the DTM field?
Because he's heterosexual.
Well, I'm not going to say anything. No, we've been running some high racing team, so it's been taking up my weekends.
That is a solid reason. Lucas Cranbeer going for 2nd place. Yeah. Mercedes on. Oh, looked like a little contact there between Max. Oh, God. Max Simmons and Andrew D. Sergeant Coley off into the barrier there. And that's going to shake things up. And Gerardo Delval, who was in 6th place, is now suddenly in 3rd place. And Larry Foster's up to 4th. D rejoined in 5th place, so he's okay by the looks of it. Simmons is back to 8th. Jacoli seems to have come up the worst of it. He's down to 18th place. Sean Kinney running in 7th place in the Gary Pavick Eurotronics car.
Is that Dick Pills?
Not Dick Pills. I don't think any of the DTM sponsors are Dick Pills, unfortunately. Which is
no, that's the joke, though. That literally none of them are, but we just assume they are until proven otherwise.
I mean, you say that none of them are, but there are a lot of Dick Pills in racing. Let's be honest.
Fair enough.
I've seen cars sponsored by Extends, which is definitely a Dick Pill. Max Simmons getting past Sean Kenny there for 7th place as he charges back through the grid. Although actually this could be 6th place because Larry Foster went quite wide coming out of the last turn there.
Remember, kids, Extends is a Dick Pill. Existends, fine movie.
Yes. And Max Simmons is now finding out the problems of getting to the head of this group. He has no DRS, while Daniel Hernandez and Sean Kenny do. Kenny is through, and I think Hernandez will be through shortly as well. Daniel Hernandez in the Red Bull BMW. There are 2 Red Bull cars in the field. The other one is an Audi driven by Gideon Schultz, who actually has become a regular in this series. Who saw that coming?
That seems a little unusual. Yeah, I would not have predicted that.
So Josiah Jerome leads the race from Lucas Granbier, Gerardo Delval, who is under pressure from BMW teammates Andrew D. and Martin Edmonds, 4th and 5th place. 6th belongs to Sean Kenny, then it is Daniel Hernandez, Max Simmons, Larry Foster, and Ariel Zatoni. Your top 10. Christopher Shepard back to 11th place. Not sure what happened with him, but I imagine there was some kind of hiccup. Valentino Rossi also falling like a stone back to 23rd position, so problems for the BWT Mercedes group.
Great, now I have to go listen to Like a Stone by Audioslave for about 2 hours straight.
I mean, it is that kind of song that goes on for like 2 hours, basically.
Whoa, hurtful.
I'm not saying that is a bad thing or a good thing, I'm just saying.
You said it was a thing.
It's a song that I find myself putting on repeat on Spotify a lot.
Correct.
I don't listen to it much, but when I do, it's listened to a lot. So Andrew D up into 3rd place. He's gotten past Del Val. And Edmonds will be the next one to try Gerardo. And, of course, Martin Edmonds, legendary destroyer of tires. We're a little bit early for him to destroy them yet. Larry Foster losing another spot to Max Simmons, or actually I think that's a retake. And that is Ariel Zatoni in the pink BWT car behind him. That BWT car, ridiculously popular amongst our racers, despite the pink color.
Or because of.
Probably because of, frankly, yeah. Although I've never really understood why BWT's main color is pink. They're a water purification company. I don't really see how the color pink enters into the equation there.
Maybe they remove a lot of blood from systems?
Looks like Vic Nash has been caught up here in the lapping process. It looks like he's damaged his front end, so probably not going as fast as he should be. He's that gray BMW back there, just getting out of the way. Currently running at 24th. Valentino Rossi is way behind him, so Rossi's lost out huge at some point. Mayhaps making a pit stop. Larry Foster coming back at Sean Kenny, so Kenny's now the one in trouble because the person who's at the front of this pack is actually disadvantaged a big way because everyone else is getting DRS. They're not, so they tend to drop at the beginning of every lap.
Well, I would recommend just driving faster.
And as you can see, the group there heading through Canada Corner. Best corner on the track.
It's the most democratic corner.
It is.
Except when it comes to gun rights, but we're not going to get into that right now.
I mean, strictly speaking, the Americans are not necessarily democratic with their gun rights because something like 60% of their people want more like gun regulation.
Yeah,
so
I guess so. Yeah.
It's not.
Apparently
it's actually very undemocratic.
Apparently, you didn't see the billboard in the background there as you were talking about the guns.
That was actually part of the joke.
That was indeed part of it.
Okay,
We
so
are
I
real
missed
cheese people.
Gotta love the billboards actually around this track.
Yeah, this is my favorite track for billboards ever. I had the whole gun discussion today because today I got to go out shooting for the first time this year. So I got to try out the new break action single shot shotgun. Got to put a lot of rounds down range with the 22. Show a new shooter how to shoot things and enjoy things. She's not a big fan of the 12 gauge shotgun, but we'll work up to it.
So the big question is, was she above Martin or below Martin?
She got pretty good. She was getting, but she also put a hell of a lot more rounds down range than Martin did.
That's true.
So, superior aim scores to Martin, and she was genuinely enjoying herself. So, good times.
Excellent. Got no problem with guns, just saying. On the democratic level, more of your country seems to want more gun laws, so...
Yeah. I like, not to get too far into it, but I like the way we kind of set it up here where if you get a gun license, you basically get a background check as often as they decide to run one. And if you fuck up, your license is gone and you cannot have guns.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that. Oop, Ariel Zatoni making a little mistake there, and that's going to let Sean Kenny back into 9th place. Although for how long? Because I think Ariel has a DRS coming into this final straightaway, and Sean does not. So, yep. Oh, Sean does apparently. Okay, it's not as bad as I was thinking.
You run out of ESP on the DMT track, and you re-up with more peyote.
I was wondering. Gosh, that was several laps ago now. But when the big catastrophe happened there around 2nd and 3rd position, Cranbeer made it through all of that. I was wondering if he was going to be able to run down Jerome, but it doesn't appear so. Jerome is still slowly checking out.
Yeah.
And he's holding about a steady gap back to 3rd, which is surprising.
Josiah now has more than 4 frames a second. You guys can all suck high titty.
Yeah, Josiah's doing really well because, like, Lucas Cranbeer is a top-end driver, quite solid. Has a little bit of ballast on him that Josiah does not have, so that is helping out. But at the same time, it's not like Lucas has a ton of ballast because he's had 2 wins taken away from him by his internet dying. And as a result, it's not actually all that high in the championship. Interestingly, I'm not sure who they are catching there. That is Cranbeer? Okay, so Cranbeer has lost some ground. It seems maybe made a mistake. It looked like he was a little bit comfortable in 2nd.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a mistake or some kind of. I was watching the timing bar and the timing went all weird. I don't know if he had like a lag incident.
Yeah.
I've seen it where you like lag out and then jump back in, but your car hasn't moved.
Yeah,
so you lose a good 2 or 3 seconds on track.
Could be it. Lucas does not have very good internet, which is weird because he's in Germany, which has usually pretty good internet. Andrew D losing a spot there to Gerardo. Gerardo back to 3rd place.
Yeah, and you know what that's going to do? That's going to give whoever's in 3rd some DRS now.
Yeah,
that's been a disadvantage.
These 3 BMWs do need to sort it out because, I mean, they're in a great spot to help out their team, but if they keep squabbling like this, it might really take that away from them. Need to figure out who's faster, boys. The answer, you would think, would have to be Andrew D, who did start on pole, but he was part of that incident that you were talking about. And who knows if the car maybe has some damage. Although Cranbeer is just getting eaten up here. All over the back of him now are all 3 BMWs.
And it appears that all 3 of them laid into the DRS there. You can see as they came out of the corner, all their wings just flatten out. That's awesome.
Yep. I do love the visual representation of the DRS coming into play. Looks like we might have lost Valentino Rossi from the race. Michael Magas also may be out.
You should not headbutt the cone so hard.
This is true. So we're down to 23 cars from the 25 that started. Both cars that are out are Mercedeses, so bad news for the bottom feeding brand, which right now has got Lucas Cranbeer in 2nd, but he's under siege from a horde of Bavarian invaders. And Sean Kenny and Ariel Zatoni back in 9th and 10th place. Richard Durocher in 12th. Wayne Hutchison 16th. And Peter Stefani 21st. Is the Mercedes contingent. Gerardo's going for it. Can he get the job done? No offense, Max Simmons, but I'd like to see the fight for 2nd place. And Gerardo is through. A Mexican on Wisconsin soil getting the job. Oh, maybe not getting the job done. No, he got it done. He's got it done. Can't imagine Cranbeer can go around the outside here. Oh, little contact.
I think he's trying to prove you wrong. He held that pretty nice.
Well, he's going to have the DRS on the next one, and Gerardo is not going to, so that could tip away from Gerardo now. In fact, this is kind of the question for you, Travis. Do you even... Oh, wait, Gerardo does have DRS. How does he have DRS?
Have they ever fixed
I think
that
he still
DRS
had it
thing?
active from the exit of the...
Right, yeah. Okay. Well, the DRS here is actually reasonably good because you can see the wings back up. By the way, Daniel Hernandez just overtook Martin Edmonds for 5th place. Underreported story right there. I guess the question for you, Travis, being our expert racer in all things racing, with DRS being a factor here, and the fact that we have seen guys who take the lead of a group quite often fall back. Would you go for an overtake on those last 2 turns, or would you just settle in to take DRS for another lap?
It is very early in this race, a 75-minute race. If it was a sprint race, I'd say go for it, and it's always better to be in the front there, because you can always defend. Maybe not block, not over block, but just defend. But yeah, in a 75-minute race, I don't think I'd be worried too much about getting around anybody. Like, I mean, Josiah has been able to just check out because these guys at the front all want to lead the group, and they're only hurting themselves.
It hasn't really gone well for anyone because Cranbeer's back to the front of the group now, having overtaken Gerardo.
Yeah, I mean, if they would just sit in line and run the fastest laps they could in a line, Josiah would not have been able to check out. But that's a 14-second gap. You can consider him gone at this point.
We saw, of course, Sean Kinney fall back from like 7th to 10th because he was at the front of the group as well. So it's leading a tightly packed group has not been a good spot to be in on this track. So, as we have hit, we're approaching the 20-minute mark of the race. Gerardo's still leading the way from Cranbeer, Delval, D, and Edmonds. Edmonds back up into 5th place, so sorry, Daniel Hernandez. Your brief dream of being in the top 5 appears to be on hold for now, but still 6th place. Good job by the Academy driver. Larry Foster, also a fresh face to the top 10. They're in 8th place. And some regulars to the top 10, really not doing a lot. Christopher Streppin, Richard DeRoche, James Butler, John Barker, not in the top 10. A bit weird for them. As Max Simmons slices through on Daniel Hernandez, and it looks like Larry Foster thought a move was on there, but not quite. As they head towards the carousel.
Man, fuck them horses.
Not too many turns on this track, do I actually remember the names of it. It's basically carousel and then Canada Corner, and that's about it.
Welcome to the Pony Tornado.
This one here's the kink. I know that one.
Right, that is the kink.
Oh, did somebody lose it, or was that a game lag?
I think it was a game lag. I don't see anyone out of position, so seems like we're okay. Oh wait, nope, Sean Kenny is dropping. So
he in a blue car?
Yes, he is. So
yeah,
Sean Kenny might have lost it.
Sorry to point that out, Sean.
Oh, it was pointed out in the Team Mercedes chat, so don't worry.
I can imagine.
He's being bragged on plenty. Martin Edmonds going for an overtake there on Max Simmons, although it looks like he lost out on it. And is back to 6th place. Lucas Granbeer has managed to hold on to 2nd for a couple of laps here, but Gerardo is still very much in that DRS range, so he still could make the assault.
While we got a little lull here, another thing to think about with the race being long and not wanting to lead because of what we've been seeing with the DRS, not having it versus having it. You could also use that DRS strategically to fuel save. I'd imagine sitting behind somebody with full downforce, and you've got your DRS open, you could go maybe half throttle or less and be able to stay with them. Does the fuel or the tires wear out quicker in this car?
Fuel. The tires are fairly okay.
Oh yeah, then you could definitely.
We do have a mandatory pit stop for tires in this race, so that's where the red dot and the green dot beside the cars is coming into play. Dimitris Simeonidis has cleared his mandatory pit stop very early.
Wait, these cars have red dot sights?
Yes.
Neat.
So Simeonidis is the first man into the pits to clear a mandatory pit stop, although I would have to suspect that was a damage stop as well. I can't really think of a reason why you would want to be in the pits right now.
Yeah, I did see him.
Sean Kenny also in the pits, who we saw in the wall, so.
Yeah, I saw Simeonitis several laps ago falling down the order. It could have been when he went in the pits, but I'd imagine it was before the pit window opened.
Pit window is open now. Quite a long pit window, I must say. And it is still looking like a banner day for BMW. They have 5 cars in the top 10. And Gerardo going for second place here against Lucas Cranbeer.
That is an odd downshift noise. I love it.
See, now Gerardo is in a good spot here because, although he just lost the spot to Cranberry, I was going to say if he can stay in front of him, he's got DRS and could have tried to make a break for it. But Lucas fighting back hard and showing that it's just because he doesn't have DRS doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
Yeah, he's playing that defensive line really well.
And Max Simmons picks up 5th place over Martin. Oh, may have spoke too soon. Oh, somebody backwards. That was Cranbeer. Lucas Cranbeer was in the wall and backwards.
I think he ran over a possum.
Saw some pretty hefty damage on the front of it too. That's a bummer.
Yeah. He might be out actually. I think he might be actually. It looks like maybe him. It looks like maybe Simeonitis is also out of the race now. So that's a huge blow if that is the case for Mercedes, because that's the 3rd Mercedes to retire if Cranbeer is out.
And by far the strongest running one up to this point.
Indeed, the lead Mercedes is now Ariel Zatoni in 8th place. Oh, somebody in the wall there. That was either Max Simmons. It looks like, yeah, it was Simmons. So Max Simmons might need to consider a pit stop in the near future to fix that car up.
And they keep this up. Whoever doesn't wreck out of this group is going to be on the podium.
By the way, 5 BMWs in the top 6.
I'm smelling something a little foul going on. Maybe I think they're taking them out.
The Beamers are invading like a Bavarian horde at this point.
Well, I mean, you guys said that they had red dot sights.
Very solid run for BMW if they can keep it up. That was Leonard Burke rejoining the track, I think. Or John Picha. Might have been John Picha. Green Audi either way. That's either Burke or Picha. So. And Picha served a pit stop, so that would be my confirmation, I think. So Sean Kenny's been in the pits and served his stop. So has John Picha. Demetrius Simeonitis served his pit stop, but I believe is out of the race now. Unless you could think of a way he would have lost a lap to Lucas Cranbeer without being out of the race. And Cranbeer's gap continues to grow, so I think he's out of this as well. Vic Nash, while being a lap down, does appear to still be running. We saw Vic lose a lap very early on due to some damage. Not sure what happened to him on that. But Josiah Jerome leads the way for Audi, but then it is a lot of BMWs with Gerardo, Andrew D, Larry Foster, Martin Edmonds, Daniel Hernandez down to 6th place. Then it's top Mercedes, Ariel Zatoni, Christoph Verstappen, Richard DeRoche, and Max Simmons in your top 10. Not sure how healthy Simmons' car is.
It got the type 2 diabetes.
There is the Canada corner that we referenced earlier.
Welcome to Canada. We have an orgasm in our theme, our national anthem. Oh, Canada!
It's illegal. It's a legal requirement to sing it just like that.
Correct. There is an exclamation point, I believe.
There is. All right, Martin Edmonds in the catbird seat right now. He will have DRS. Larry Foster will not. Although, if you had told me that this, a reasonable chunk into the race, we're approaching the 30-minute mark of the race, that Larry Foster would be ahead of Martin Edmonds, and it wouldn't be through like a pit stop thing, would not have really thought that to be terribly likely. So go Larry.
Leisure suit Larry.
Christoph Verstappen and Richard DeRoche, 2 championship contenders, battling it out for 8th spot. And these positions are important, even if it's not for a win. Wayne Hutchison in early for the pit stops. That's counter to what everything me and Byron have seen over the time doing these commentaries.
Sir, it's pronounced Hutchison.
Mr. Hutchison, usually one of the last men to pit. But
Correct.
He pits early this time.
He is a disciple of the ways of the Nordic marsupial. Doesn't seem like he's having a very good race, though, so he might just need to refresh, reset, recenter himself.
The DTMs and Wayne haven't really seemed to get along. This just doesn't appear to be his car, frankly. As Edmonds is looking to make the move here on Larry Foster and gets through pretty easy.
Are you telling me he stole that car?
I'm telling you that he is not necessarily super comfortable in the car.
Is that because he does not possess it, and therefore the authorities may be looking for him, and he may be nervous?
That might be the case.
My goodness.
I'm officially willing to say that Lucas Cranbeer is out of the race as he is losing lap after lap and has not pitted. So either he is out or he's at the side of the road and his car is not exactly the most functional piece of machinery on the planet. As Ariel Zatoni up to 6th place, so he is starting to try and cut into this BMW horde. And next on his list will be Larry Foster, but Daniel Hernandez not going away yet in that Red Bull Mercedes. Or Red Bull BMW, pardon me. Mercedes is the only maker that doesn't have a Red Bull car.
I want somebody to sneak into that track at night and paint the bull a different color.
Oh, he's been done, actually.
Very nice.
It was painted blue at one point.
Yeah, you got the blue balls.
Yep. Christoph Verstappen and Richard DeRoche still scrapping behind Daniel Hernandez, so that's buying him some time to try to break that 1 second magical DRS window. A couple of new faces have joined the grid for this series, although a couple of them have kind of faded to the wayside. No Elio Fernandez today, no Nico Marchand, but a couple of guys still around. Valentino Rossi, despite his retirement today, still taking part, as well as a reinvigorated Visar Jacoli, who is having a bit of a rotten day, though, on the track today. Hernandez going for it. Team RMG. You just got to change one letter there, and you'll give every World of Tanks player a heart attack.
Correct. You will run under the power of RN Jesus.
Hernandez doing quite well. He also raced in the Academy race before this and picked up a 2nd place at Suzuka West, finishing behind Demetrius Simeonitis, who continues his dominant run in the Academy with 5 straight victories. That was snapped on race 3 on this day. Richard DeRoche going down the inside of Daniel Hernandez, and that is 7th place for the Mercedes driver. So the Mercedes are coming on reasonably strong here as we get towards the pit stops, but still looking at an uphill battle after Cranbeer's retirement, as well as Magas and Rossi. I think we may have also lost Visar Jacoli at some point. So not a perfect day for BMW, as they have lost Simeonitis and apparently Jacoli. Their Balkan participation is down to 0.
It seems like they might have come down with the simian flu.
We also did the test race at Suzuka today for the day-night transition for the ACC cars, and worked out pretty well. Although the night transition was a bit early in the race for our taste, so we're gonna play with the timing a little bit. Probably looking at an in-game 5 p.m. start for a 90-minute race with a basically what will end up being a 4.5-hour race. So it'll take us to 9:30 in-game time. Should be about an hour and a half that will be in the darkness of Suzuka with the lovely light-up Ferris wheel. That will be an interesting thing.
I'm down for that.
Pretty.
It is very pretty, actually. It flashes with green LEDs as you're racing around. It's quite nice.
Does it flash in Morse code and spell something out?
Don't think so.
Can't prove I'm wrong though.
Can't prove it. I don't know enough Morse code, but I don't believe it does. Got to see James Butler drive something other than a Porsche finally. Shows a Ferrari. Didn't go well.
I have some wrestling updates for you if anybody's interested.
Sure.
Your boy Andrew McIntosh beat Sloth Rollins. Somebody named the Strowman is still the Universal Champion. Bailey beat somebody. Gonna skip over that. And Otis and Asuka both won Money in the Bank.
Otis, Money in the Bank. Nice.
Otis OP, they will definitely job him out as soon, probably tomorrow.
It's coming. It's coming.
Tomorrow they'll probably just have him job out and lose the Money in the Bank because there's so much money to be made. It's not funny, and they can't possibly try and do that right.
They can't possibly realize that they have like a combination of Mick Foley and Scotty 2 Hotty on their hands.
Correct. Caterpillar OP.
Scotty 2 Foley.
Hey, there you go. Scotty Foley's baby boy. You know what? I would go over the moon if somehow Otis Dozovich and Tucker Knight pulled out some sort of combination of Mick Foley gimmicks as a new tag team. And they just do like the 3-man weave between the 3 gimmicks.
Indeed.
Can you imagine Otis coming down as Cactus Jack and being totally psychotic?
Mm-hmm. Although I kind of think Dude Love for Otis. I think Tucker makes the better Cactus Jack.
Oh yeah, but see, with like one week, one guy would come down as one character, one guy would come down as another character. Like you get Knight as Mankind, and then next week you get Knight as Dude Love, but then Otis would also be like Dude Love one week, and then Cactus Jack or Mankind. They just like 3-man weave the shit out of each gimmick. They just couldn't replicate both. They both couldn't be the same gimmick until like a year into the whole program, and then they'd both come down as Cactus Jack, and no one survives.
Pretty much, yeah. Ariel Zatoni, by the way, hit the pit lane there, I think, and that's the first of the lead cars to pit willingly, I should say. Sean Kenny's been into the pits, but wasn't the most willing of
his mom
pit
said he had
stops.
to.
Well, no, the wall said he had to.
I can't, guys. I'm sorry. Mom said no. Oh, by the way, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, including the bad mother. Shut your mouth.
All the Mother's Day pictures on the Facebooks. Always fun.
I made bread and gave to my mother and to my grandmother.
I might have been willing to pay money to see my uncle try to work the whole Zoom call with my aunt's mom and all her family, because my uncle is, spoiler, not technically adept in any way, shape, or
Hilarious.
form. So
Camera immediately zooms up his left nostril.
Oh, Larry Foster!
Oh my goodness.
He was in third place. No, Larry.
My goodness, the yeller tornado.
Edmonds
So
did
that'll-
a good job of avoiding that.
That'll facilitate a pit stop for sure, I would suggest.
You'll be fine.
He's not far
Little
from the
buff
pit,
out.
so he doesn't have to limp very far. By the way, an interesting camera view that Martin Emmons has given us there. From the helicopter cam.
The helicopter.
So Ariel, by the way, came out of the pit. Oh, into the pits goes Christoph Verstappen. So he is in. Ariel Zatoni is the top car that has pitted. He's almost a second ahead, or a full minute ahead of Wayne Hutchison, which is stunning. Sean Kenny's contact is really limited his upside in this race, as he currently runs in 15th place. Man on a charge actually might be Gideon Schultz. 8th place. Now, that's not the charge part, because that's mostly people pitting. But he's actually only about 5 seconds behind Max Simmons. So he's very legitimately in this. And there is Larry Foster with the beat-up front end on his BMW in the pit lane. It's really the first thing to go wrong for BMW this whole race. Well, I guess you could say Visarja Coley's race has been bad. Oh, speaking of the pit lane penalty, Christoph Verstappen will have a drive-through.
Travis, as a connoisseur of speeding in the pit lane, what do you really value the most of those kind of penalties?
Definitely just the time to sit and think about what you've done.
Reflect, have 2 or 3 beers.
What's the judging criteria for a perfect 10 on a speeding in the pit lane penalty?
Never
style.
lift.
Never lift. Also, go sideways the whole way.
I mean, if you're taking the penalty, you might as well just go, go for it. Ariel Zatoni overtaking Christoph Verstappen, so Verstappen's got a drive-through, and he's giving a spot to Zatoni. So he is probably not the happiest driver on track right now. I think it would be safe to say that.
Yeah, I got a gift to show you guys. There's this little kid. His dad's throwing like a rock, like a baseball, and he's swinging. I assume it's like a cut down broomstick. And this kid's
Schultz
got
and Barker into the pit lane.
This kid's got a major league, total perfect form swing, and knocks this rock with a broom handle the fuck out this yard. I will provide a link. It may be also available in the comments or in the description of this video if anybody gets around to it, but I can't prove that's going to be the case.
Number of guys in the pits. Richard Durocher down the pit lane. Max Simmons in the pit lane. So things are shaking out from a pit standpoint.
I love to drop Easter eggs like that. It's like you might not ever find out what the hell I'm talking about, and you may be frustrated for life.
Actually, well, I won't be the one that links it. It'll be Martin that will link it. But
well, there you
go. I will provide him with the link, and if he fails, he fails.
You have no one to blame but Martin. We're passing the buck as far as possible on this one.
The buck is way down there. Ariel Zatoni might overtake Richard Durocher here as Durocher rejoins from the pit lane. Although I think he was ahead of Durocher before he pitted, so not sure if the earlier pit stop for Zatoni has really worked out. It'll be interesting to see. Christopher, no!
Son of a
again!
Some of it.
Christoph Verstappen with a second drive-through for speeding in the pit lane. Yeah.
Surely make you lose your mind.
Indeed.
Tropical, further updates on Tropical Storm Jerome. Currently 23 seconds ahead of everybody, and you can eat his chode.
Indeed, he's been helped out by the fact that the BMWs can't seem to make up their mind who they want to be in second place, as Andrew D hits the pit lane. And that will put Gerardo back into second position there.
Edmonds also stopped in there with him.
Yep, Edmonds in the pit lane as well. That's a wide pit lane. Wonder what happened with Andrew D there. He got a really bad entrance to the pit lane because Edmonds caught him. And I don't really have a reason for that to have happened. Or has he already served his pit stop? I don't know. The pit stops here are
he probably was at the end of pit road since he had the pole. Is that how that works?
No, it's the order in which you join the server that the pit stalls get given out. So I have no idea where his pit stall would be. We'll see. If Martin comes out of the pits and he's just gone... Oh, there he is.
Okay.
Looks like he got a faster pit stop than Martin, at least.
Well, I mean, that's because of the tires.
Which I'm really not sure, because the tires on these cars are exceedingly quick to swap. Oh god, they have fallen way back. Or no, that was not them that just got overtaken there. Okay, that was Vic Nash and Daniel Hernandez. Although Hernandez did not get the best of the pit stops, he is dropped behind both Zatoni and Durocher.
One Vishnu Nash.
As I believe that is Peter Stefani getting out of the way of the lead of the blue flags there.
Speaking of blue flags, there will be a blue flag tutorial video coming down the pipe at some point.
Indeed, we really need to get on that.
I asked for certain instructions and things so I could write a script so we could have a video made by, like, I don't know, yesterday, but no one ever stepped up to the plate.
We need a couple of bodies.
I just need one body to tell me what the fuck I need to write a script for. I need another body to do the thing with me, and then the rest is up to you to film and like overlay the thing.
Well, I'm off this week, so just give me a shout.
Hell yeah! Look
Make that
forward
happen.
to. It's going to be essentially a high-class Deliverance version of why you're too dumb to not know what a blue flag is.
It's because you have a pretty mouth.
Uncle Travis, why does man have blue flag? Wait, I can't step into the jet. I can't cross that over to like Asian accents. I'll work on it.
Get
I'll
my
work on it.
banjo.
We are still awaiting 3 cars to make their pit stop, one of which is the tropical storm himself, Josiah Jerome. Looks like Gerardo might be in the pit lane right now, actually. Yeah.
Soft
also
copyright-free
like...
banjo music plays in the background.
Yeah. Also looks like Verstappen finally made it down pit road without speeding. Hadn't seen his name pop up for a while.
We can hope. We can hope. Gerardo's pit stop didn't go all that well. He is quite a ways behind Edmonds and D. And we didn't think that Edmonds and D got a particularly good pit stop, to be honest. Martin Edmonds. This is effectively the fight for second place between D and Edmonds. The BMWs are being really civil with this fight, but at the same time, I can't help but think that they are losing time.
They could gain time if they all behave the way that D did there, just letting Martin have the corner after benefiting from the draft, and then they just keep swapping using the draft. That's
kind of and swapping the DRS as well.
Yeah. But man, Josiah's so far out there. I mean, that's like trying to chase down Stoffmill at this point.
Well, it looks like Josiah's in the pit lane. Otherwise, Max Simmons is making up a boatload of time on him. So we will see where he comes out after the pit stop. Max Simmons is going to stay out to actually lead a lap, it looks like.
Whoop, whoop.
In the meantime, an example of not great teamwork, the 2 Mercedes is squabbling.
You know, I haven't run one of these team events for a while, but I do recall back when I did run them that we did work together. This is I have seen no teamwork. Well, that was BMW still being dirty. I've seen no teamwork going on in this race at all.
Yeah,
somebody did tell them this is a team event, right?
Well, it's been done a number of times. Not gonna lie. The voice comms in the Mercedes team chat during the Red Bull ring were particularly colorful. You are blocking one of your teammates under blue flags. Could you move?
Dead ass. Shifted.
Alright, so Josiah Jerome is rejoined, about 17.5 seconds behind Max Simmons, and about 24 seconds ahead of Martin Edmonds, so quite a ways up the road.
Shout out to Paul Riccobeni, who I have shared another terrifying big cat gif in his DMs. It's actually not that terrifying, but it might be.
I'll be sure to bring that up when we inevitably do the Academy commentary, probably sometime more.
Ask him about the snow leopard.
Or if I have someone else on commentary, I don't know. Paul's been the one to usually volunteer.
I mean, I'll do it.
Andrew D getting 3rd place off of Martin Edmonds. That's effectively 2nd place, because I don't really think that there's a world in which Max Simmons cannot, come out ahead of these guys from a pit stop. But never know. He could deploy the Mike Stoffmill boost right now and start putting away some great laps. It's been interesting to see Mike Stoppmill have to work for it in the ACC lately, but unfortunately, the drivers making him work are guys who are kind of randos that have just joined the server.
Me too.
As Ariel Zatoni and Richard DeRoche continue to squabble and open the door for Gerardo here in the battle for 5th position. Not really sure where these guys will be in relation to Max Simmons when he hits the pits, but I do suspect they will be ahead of him.
Yeah.
Oop. Ariel with a little bit of a moment there.
Yeah,
Ooh, there's a name you don't usually see on the drive-thrus. John Barker. He's got himself a drive-thru.
The carnival's gone off the rails.
Wonder if he was in for damage. He had already pit.
Yeah, it looks like that was a second pit stop for Barker. He's down at the almost back of the pack, just ahead of Vic Nash. So I suspect that may be a second pit stop and some damage for John, the Carnival Barker. What are you thinking are Max Simmons' options at this point, Travis? What would your recommendations be for him as far as when to get in the pits?
At this point, I'd say he's pretty committed. I would just run it as long as I could till the end of the pit window and hope that the light fuel is enough to keep my lap times down.
His pace does look pretty good. He's losing some ground periodically to Josiah, but he's losing a little bit now to Martin Edmonds and Andrew D. But he's generally seems to be about the same pace of the guys that matter, the guys he's actually fighting with. So going late appears to be a good idea, and theoretically he'll have some really good tires for the remaining 20 minutes or so. I think that he'll have to run. It'd be nice if we had the countdown on the for the pit window. As it stands, the only what will tell us that it's closed is when all the pit stop dots beside the running cars disappear. That means the window will be closed. We have not. We do not have a clock time down. Although, of course, I could have noted when it started, when it opened up, and that would have told me when it would close. But I'm thinking 20 minutes left in the race is where the pit window will close, I think.
It opens and closes every fraction of a second, but you have to catch it just right.
That'd be impressive.
That does sound right, though. I think it opened at like 55 minutes left, which would have been 20 from, yeah.
Not entirely sure how long a pit stop will take. That's the one thing I kind of wished we had gotten a gauge on.
That's about 200 meters.
And then we could predict where he comes out. He was kind of in that DeRoche, Zatoni, Hernandez area beforehand. So hopefully, if he comes out behind Daniel Hernandez, he fucked up. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
He should be right around that point. So I want to say it was around 50 seconds that they were losing. I didn't time it exactly, but I was trying to keep a rough estimate.
I'm not entirely sure why we're looking at Larry Foster, because the car ahead of him is not who he's fighting with. That's Gideon Schultz, who's up in 9th place ahead of him. And Larry is back in 15th. Sad day for Larry. Qualified 6th, was looking really good, and then found the wall. And that kind of has relegated him to a reasonable result, to be sure, but definitely not what it could have been. Should be mentioned that D actually pulled away about a half a second on Simmons pulled away about a half second on Andrew D and Martin Edmonds that last time around. So, still looking good, although losing ground to Josiah Jerome, but that could just be the fact that the tropical storm has been the, frankly, the force of nature that belies his nickname.
The king of the frame rates, Josiah Jerome.
Probably still has the weakest frame rates of anyone on track. It's just no longer single digits.
The court jester of frame rates, Josiah Jerome.
We won't have to ask Josiah what happened. Oh, the laptop screen fell off. Gerardo on the tail of Ariel Zattoni. Richard DeRoche's finally kind of gotten away from these two, which probably a good thing for his championship hopes. He is, of course, battling with this man, Martin Edmonds, in the title fight. See if I have any driver of the day candidates. I mean, Daniel Hernandez has got to be pretty high up there. Academy driver running in 8th place, maybe 7th, depending on where Simmons comes out after pit stops. Looks like Simmons lost a fair bit of ground on that lap, so if I am him, number one, I don't actually think he has much of a choice but to get into the pits next time around. But I would get in there ASAP, because it looks like the tires have finally gone off on that Audi.
Yeah, ASAP stands for as sloppy as possible.
I mean, it's Max Simmons who's tethering off of his cell phone. It's probably going to be sloppy. let's be honest. Although at this point, I don't know if I get to make fun of anyone for pit stops, because in the ACC races, I keep missing my pit stalls. So, you know, did it again today. Came in just ahead of Demetrius. He had damage to fix and still came out in front of me because I still missed my pit stall. Although he also got a stop-go penalty for speeding, so I mean, maybe that's why he beat me out of the pits. Gerardo versus Ariel Zattoni. This is an old school rivalry. Kind of one of the OG ESR rivalries between the Argentine and the Mexican. And that battle is over 6th place for the time being. Simmons is in the pits, I do believe, as Josiah Jerome has overtaken him. Presumably we'll see Edmonds and Andrew D do the same. There it is. So where is Max going to come out, and how much can those fresh tires pay off for the Audi driver? Although, again, I do believe Max is a wild card, not actually scoring for Audi. Simmons appears to have rejoined in 7th place, ahead of Daniel Hernandez by 9/10 of a second. So, about a second.
Slingshot engaged.
Well, Simmons will be the danger man because, of course, with those fresh tires, he should be able to put up some cracking laps.
So basically, wherever he goes, exudes sort of a zone of danger.
Yes.
Excellent.
Do I need to call Kenny Loggins for you?
Please.
Now I need to go watch Archer. Or at least put my Archer shirt on.
Phrasing.
Such a fantastic show.
It's just I can't hear you over the sound of my own awesomeness.
Correct.
All right, well, the pit window is closed. Whether it closed on 20 minutes or not, I'm not 100% sure, but I imagine it did. And we are good to go. 18 cars left, and it is just a 18-minute race and a half minutes to the checkered flag. Here in cheese country.
They am authentic dairy product individuals.
Who will reign supreme at the real cheese 75 minutes?
Whoever's got enough Henry Raffles, motherfucker, hell yeah! That reminds me, I need to get a lever action firearm. Got pump action, I got brake action, I got semi-auto. You're interested?
Well, I am interested in that, but it was interesting that during one of my more recent jobs at a TQ casting company, I just set up a customer file for Road America. That was kind of interesting.
Oh.
They got something tested by us. Don't know what.
COVID-19.
Timing wouldn't have been correct. But,
They're just ahead of the curve.
maybe.
Or in racing terminology, ahead of the curb. Hey!
I mean, curve also works, if we're being honest.
Barely. I mean, geez, all you guys do is do straightaways that occasionally do a little twisty.
Which is a curve.
God, I suppose, if you're going to be pedantic about it.
Max Simmons, by the way, is catching Gerardo and Ariel at a very rapid rate, but catching is not overtaking, and we will see if he can manage it. Max's racecraft has always been a little bit of a question mark, so we'll see what he can do.
Good kiss, John. Would like to note that the entirety of the top four is only Canadians and people who are tropical Canadians.
Yes. Actually, it is a really good showing for the Canadian contingent today.
Mm-hmm. Leo and Hard with a Vengeance, Burke, and Wayne Hutchinson. You press the gas a little harder. Get up there. And Mr. Somebody want to hit? Somebody want to res Mike? Res? Anybody with a res?
I need a Phoenix down.
Please res. Your boy Ricardo Rusticucci coming in a hot 4th place.
Indeed. Grande Ricardo has had a quiet charge through the field. But he's kept his nose clean and gotten the job done. Martin Edmonds taking 2nd place once again. Gotta wonder who's gonna end up in the with the ability to make the final call on this 2nd place here for BMW.
I think Martin's traditionally faster than Andrew, so I don't think it should really be a competition for 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, but Martin's
Simmons.
But a couple of things. Andrew D was on pole for the start of this race, so very quick today.
Fair enough.
And two, Martin has been kind of trying to sandbag to a degree to try to lose ballast. So
That's a good move. I support that.
So he may let Andrew D have that 2nd place.
What you need to do is you come in at like a solid bunch of 5th and 4th fifths, and you get yourself a bunch of points to the point where you're well easily within striking of the win, and you got very little ballast, and then you just fucking win the last 2 races.
Mm-hmm. Although you have to go back further than 4th and 5th place. It'd be more like 7th.
That sounds easily achievable.
Seems like where Gerardo is right now.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, Max Simmons has climbed up to 6th place, overtaking Gerardo. Next up are the 2 Mercedes of Ariel Zatoni and Richard DeRoche.
Indian.
And then it'll be the BMWs of D and Edmonds. And it's pretty doable. He's only about 10 seconds behind them. Behind 2nd place, so he is a live dog to come through the field if he can do it quickly with those fresh tires.
Rough.
Now, what he has to avoid doing, and we talked about this before, was that he has to avoid making any overtakes before the checkered, before the end of the lap, because that will give the DRS to the car he's fighting with. So he needs to time these really efficiently, make the overtake happen, like at a spot like this, and then use his DRS to speed off in the distance and break the DRS gap.
I don't know what none of that means, and I think that maybe you might be a communist.
I hope Travis understood what I was getting at there, and that will comfort me greatly.
I gotcha.
So he's up into 5th now, having taken Zatoni. Next on his list is Grande Ricardo. But right now, Zatoni's still in that DRS window. The gap is only about 0.6 of a second. So Max needs to find an additional 0.4.
He should be able to pull that out here. Have DRS down the back straight, and should have the better braking going into Canada corner with the fresh tires.
Indeed.
But what if he's got 11 tenths of advancement through the DMT RS triple thing with a over cranked Brewer Hopper?
I mean, that would just put him in the wall.
Hell yeah!
Andrew D pulling up on Martin Edmonds once again. And getting the job done. Although, again, Martin did not really make that terribly difficult. Which is a good call, because if these two BMWs hit each other right now, I feel like it's Marquardt, who I believe is the DTM man for BMW. I think it's Jens Marquardt. Anyways, Jens Marquardt would come down like a bolt of lightning and be like, "No!" Tempted to look that up actually to remember if I've actually got. I haven't watched a DTM race in so long that I don't remember who the team principals are anymore.
It'll be Skinner and other TV references. Who's the guy from Saved by the Bell?
I don't even know. I really never watched Saved by the Bell.
What? You didn't watch the Screech show starring Screech?
I did not.
Wow.
I'm familiar with it being a thing. That it had value as a pop culture reference.
Honestly, all I remember is Screech, and then later AC Slater turned out to be differently sexualized, which kind of saw coming in retrospect. Like, it was very much over the top. Like, I am very macho. I'm like, sure you are, bud.
Not compensating at all is what you're trying to do.
Not at all. We're not covering anything up here. And literally nobody else that was, to be honest, Dustin Diamond, a.k.a. Screech, also didn't have a career, but did some noteworthy things, criminal or otherwise.
I was going lighthearted with the celebrity wrestling and boxing, but yeah, true. Some criminal activity as well.
Who you got, Shannon the Cannon Briggs or Iron Mike Tyson, bare knuckle?
Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I'm not far behind you on that one.
There is not enough money in the world to make me bare knuckle box Mike Tyson.
Yeah, no, not at all. Travis, are you down with this Mike Tyson gonna be bare knuckle boxing action?
As long as they're made of clay and it's really bloody, I will love it.
It's gonna be real.
It's gonna be bloody.
Be bloody.
It's gonna be bloody. It's gonna be really
love Celebrity
bloody.
Deathmatch. That was the best thing MTV ever did.
You're not wrong. Other than Beavis and Butthead.
And Bully Beatdown.
Oh, yeah.
And the embarrassment of Jake Shields, of the bully that went up against Jake Shields actually winning the 10 grand.
Yeah, what a dumb fuck.
God damn it, Jake
Good
Shields.
job, Pillow Fists.
Damn it, Jake. I mean, I understand Jake Shields not knocking the bully down, but come on, you couldn't submit him?
I'm not shocked.
Personally, favorite bully beatdown was the Jeremy Horn episode.
I don't remember that one in particular, but I'm assuming Jeremy Horn gave no shit, took no mercy, and gave no prejudice.
Jeremy Horn did not feel bad about it at all.
Oh, I get to physically abuse an idiot?
I mean, if we're being honest, that's mostly Jeremy Horn's MMA career, is physically abusing idiots who don't really belong in the cage with him.
That is true. That guy was a street sweeper. If you didn't belong in the cage, he was going to find you. Him and Travis Fulton.
Everyone looks at Jeremy Horn, it's like, oh, that guy can't be all that dangerous. Yes. Yes, keep thinking that.
We even gave him a really, really cushy, soft nickname, so you suspect nothing.
You suspect nothing from the man named Gumby. Max Simmons is up on Richard DeRoche, though. And I suspect things from Max Simmons, we'll put it that way.
Hell of a move. My God.
Indeed. Max Simmons, aggressive, precise, gets the job done. Gets it done early in the lap. And will be able, because I think this is just the Moraine sweeper here that they're at right now.
The Moraine?
It's turn 5, if that's what it's called.
Max Simmons is verifiable cheese entities.
I kind of needed to see the turn after that to be sure that it was the Moraine. Ariel Zatoni losing a spot to Gerardo Del Val. Can't remember if either of these guys have notably fresher tires. I think Gerardo does, because Ariel was one of the earliest to pit.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was like the first of the lead group to go in.
But Gerardo was fairly early as well, so I don't think there's a tremendous tire difference here. Really, it's Max Simmons who has the freshest tires of the bunch. And then the second freshest is Josiah, so that gap is just getting bigger. Can Richard stay within DRS range of Max Simmons? He is. As of the last gap we were given, he is within range of DRS. But it is just barely.
Yeah, he's held on a lot better than like Zatoni and Delval did.
That's true, but I think the problem for Delval and Zatoni was that the other one was there to attack them, and then obviously they fell back.
True dat.
Whereas Richard really only has to worry about Max, so he should be able to stay closer for longer, but he is now 1.6 seconds back, and that would be out of the DRS window, so Simmons has got it.
And looks like D has lost Edmonds as well, which means Edmonds is not going to have that DRS to fall back on to stay ahead of Simmons.
Indeed.
It's getting interesting here in the closing laps.
Simmons is hungry. He must be fed. Ariel Zatoni, Gerardo Delval, still battling. There is Max Simmons. There is the visual representation of how close to Martin Edmonds he is. And it is actually down to about a half second. So the late pit stop from Max Simmons is paying off in a big way. I tip my hat to him.
Doff le chapeau aujourd'hui.
I would give him a tip of my gaming glasses, but actually I can't find them, so I'm not wearing them right now.
What is up? And I cannot stress this enough, my gamers.
Actually, a little bit worried where those things have made their way to, because they're kind of expensive.
Yeah, I can do that.
Ariel getting past Gerardo back into 6th place, so good news for the Mercedes team.
Are the gaming glasses made out of 100% authentic gamer?
Yes.
Excellent.
I believe it is actually the hide of one faker from the League of Legends team. No, don't go forward here, Max. You want the DRS.
Slingshot engaged.
That probably went about as well as Martin Edmonds could have hoped, getting overtaken just before the line, because he'll have DRS to try to strike back. That being said, just as I said that, I realized I'm talking about Martin Edmonds fighting a guy on fresh tires while his tires are old, and Martin's tendency to wear the tires at a very rapid rate. I don't know if he really has any hope here.
Martin
like a
literally
mistake there
spins
by
out.
Tony, giving that spot up.
Yeah, Gerardo getting the job done, and Gerardo should have the DRS, so he needs to break it open. Not like right now, because this is not the only place to use the DRS, but he needs to use the rest of this lap to break it open.
I envision Martin coming around the last corner, going to hit the DRS, and his tires is going whee, and like making no traction, and he just slowly coasts sideways off the track.
I mean, they could also tap out worse than Rumble Johnson.
Oh snap!
Or Chael P. Sonnen.
That's just egregious, sir. Like that. It's literally every fight where anybody tried to do anything reasonably submission-wise.
The weirdest thing to me is that Chael Sonnen actually beat Tim Crater. Just trying to figure
That
out
is
how
weird.
that worked. Like that feels like that should have been an obvious submission win for Crater. But
Well, I'm going to go with one explanation, which is Tim Crater didn't use steroids, and somebody else might have. And by might
Yeah,
have,
but
I mean a lot.
yeah, but Sonnen got tapped out by Trevor Prangley,
But Trevor Prangley is a psychotic Australian.
South American
Same thing.
or South African, pardon me.
That's all the same thing. They're all criminals got chipped off.
It's not entirely incorrect.
Ariel Zatoni's going to be very angry at you for saying that.
They're from different places, though. The Australians are British criminals, the South Africans are Dutch criminals, and the Argentines are German criminals.
That is, yep, you're not wrong.
As well as some Italian ones.
As long as your name isn't Gunter Zatoni, I mean, you're not really suspected right away.
Not right away, but I mean, there's some other ones. Maximilian Rodriguez comes to mind as a...
Oh.
It's a little suspicious. Ariel Zatoni on the attack against... Oh, I hope that was some netcode going a bit wacky there. Because that kind of looks like he drove into the back of Gerardo, which would not be good for either driver. Ariel, for the time being, behind Gerardo. This could be the last lap. It depends on how much time was left when Josiah went over the line.
We should have one more.
I'm thinking you're correct that there will be one more. Martin Edmonds still has DRS, so the fight for third is not over, and a BMW is coming up to be lapped. Will we see any brand shenanigans?
I hope so.
And the BMW brand has been by far the best at working together, so we'll see. Yep, we'll get one more lap out of this. So Josiah Jerome is on the last lap of the race, looking to bring it on home.
Oh, hell yeah.
And Max Simmons has not cleared Vic Nash yet. There he goes. As they go through. See, that's what a blue flag's supposed to look like there. He's on the racing line, predictable, and they get through easy. But we will go into more detail on that this week in our video, How to Blue Flag.
As long as somebody can provide me with details so I can write.
This is more of a serious matter beyond your pay grade.
That is not true. I can make it informative and entertaining. Why do you think I'm here?
To be entertaining.
Oh, yeah. But I can also be smart about things. I just don't get paid to do that here in commentary.
We do not pay you the big dollars for that. We pay you the small dollars for that.
I have been provided with a few gift cards for the local beverage mart, which was very appreciative of and was totally unexpected of.
Wasn't there a Steam gift card as well?
Maybe. I think somebody did give me a Steam something at some point. I don't remember. If that is the case, I do appreciate you.
Indeed, checker flag is out, so Josiah Jerome has taken the victory. Either that or we ran out of after checker flag time. Though the fact that everyone is catching Josiah right now does suggest he's on a cooldown right now, so he is one. Andrew D will bring it home in second place. Max Simmons with a great run to third place towards the end there, ahead of Martin Edmonds. Good job for the BMW crew. Not a great day for the Mercedes crew. Richard DeRoche gets a decent result. Ariel Satoni does beat Gerardo Del Val at the end for sixth place, ahead of BMW. Daniel Hernandez.
Oh,
I love it. I'm glad somebody's still doing that while I'm gone.
Here is Daniel Hernandez, the Academy driver, bringing it home in 8th place. Really solid result.
Gets a free Henry rifle.
And I was going to say Gideon Schultz under attack, but that's actually a lapped car of Larry Foster. So nothing to play for there. Did we see Gideon like the whole race on his way to 9th place? And this man is probably, again, not the happiest camper on the field. 2 drive-through penalties for the Audi car of Christoph Verstappen.
But still
bring it home
lands
in
in the top 10. Impressive run.
Indeed. Well, Sean Kenny's in 11th place. We saw Sean hit the wall, so kind of everyone from this point onwards appears to have had somewhat of a compromised race. So there is the results. Josiah Jerome, Andrew D., Max Simmons, Martin Edmonds, Richard Drochet, Ariel Satoni, Gerard Laval, Daniel Hernandez, and Gideon Schultz, and then Christopher Streppen. Everyone else a lap down. Oh, wait, did Sean Kenny finish on that? Sean Kenny did finish.
Wow, get down.
Wayne Hutchison, Leonard Burke, Larry Foster, John Picha, Peter Stefani, John Barker, Vic Nash, finding their way to the end of the race. DNFs included James Butler. We completely missed James Butler and Douglas DeGroat falling out of the race at some point. Visar Jacoli, Lucas Granbier, Dimitri Simeonitis, and Michael Magas. Oh, and Valentino Rossi. Gentlemen, your final thoughts on the action of DTM from Road America.
I demand that all future races be performed in hovercrafts.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, it's like that episode of Reboot where they did the Formula 1 game, but they turned into airplanes at the end, and in the middle they were hovercrafts. That'd be intriguing.
Did you drop acid?
Not today.
No, it's a TV show that was on YTV back in the day. Actually really liked it. Horribly inaccurate because it was inside of a computer, and that's not how computers have gone. But it was interesting with the concept of game cubes, and it was, I don't know. Go watch Reboot. It's fun. It actually ages pretty well. I watched it recently.
I'll have to look that up.
The technical jargon does not age well, but everything else does pretty well. And Sean Connery did a guest host appearance in one episode.
Hot shingles, you say? In my area?
Indeed, he played number 1.
Whoa, number 1. Who does number 2 work for?
That kid crushed that rock and then does the pro walk off.
Yeah, he does.
He just walks off like
Good
I'm
night.
the man.
The
quick
fuck
rundown
out my yard.
Quick rundown of the standings to finish off here. Richard DeRoche leading the championship on 286 points from Martin Edmonds on 270. Christopher Streppen, 254. 233 for Josiah Jerome. 230 for Andrew D. Should be mentioned that Josiah Jerome did not score in the first 2 rounds, up to 4th place. Nicely done, sir. Andrew D, 230, 214 for Sean Kenny, 198 for Ariel Zatoni, 195 for John Barker, who had a bit of a bad day. Gerardo Daval, 183 and 158 for Daniel Hernandez. That is your top 10. And then in the brand standings, it is Audi leading the way with 1,441 points. That team is led by the intrepid Christoph Verstappen. In second place with 1,372 is BMW. That is the team led by Martin Edmonds. And Richard DeRoche, championship leader, but his team is at the bottom, 1,293 points for the Mercedes crew. Coming off of their second worst round of the season here at Road America. Audi was the top scorer today, despite BMW having a number of good performances, but the race win by Josiah Jerome, a big difference maker. Gentlemen, do you have any final thoughts before I terminate the recording?
If stuff equals the thing, then insert ridiculous hypothesis here.
All right, stop your rambling. I gotta pee. Let's end this.
We go.
On on Travis's bladder's note, this is all that we have.